At what point did you stare down that Clemson live line and be like, well, maybe they won't. Maybe this is going to be 2016 Pitt. The last time, by the way, that the Clemson Tigers lost a game in Memorial Stadium, a.k.a. Death Valley. But that wasn't the case. DJ Uiagalelei takes a seat. Cade Klubnik comes in. And while he was just 2 for 4 passing the ball for 19 yards, he was the quarterback for 2 touchdown drives, had a couple rushing attempts. Will Shipley and Phil Maffa lead the way. And the Clemson Tigers, which started the fourth quarter down 21-10 to Syracuse in a battle of undefeated teams, pulls away with a victory against the Orange. I am saddened that we do not get the Dino drop here. Sad Latifah, sad Dino drop. But the Clemson Tigers are able to remain at the top of the ACC Atlantic race, in the ACC championship race. And yeah, we should probably save that because we're about to do a lot of like college football playoff talk for the next month. But what do you make of the Clemson Tigers, their quarterback situation, and the performance in this game against Syracuse?
I mean, if you box score this, it doesn't really tell the whole story of how the game felt when you were watching it, right? It felt like Clemson was the better team, but was sleepwalking constantly to me. I mean, they would just move the ball in the first half and then drop the ball, literally, while throwing it, or just fumble it, or just throw a ridiculous interception. And Chip, to your point, you bring up these live lines. Like Clemson, 3 consecutive drives failed to get scores, and they went 42, 43, 32 yards, turnovers, and then 49-yard field goal. Like literally throughout the first half, Clemson, with DJ in there, was moving the football. I mean, I don't know. I look at the comparison here. What do they have? They had 257 yards in the first half. Like that's pretty damn good. I mean, we're on pace for a 500-yard day. It just felt like they were not crisp at all. They were not ready to play in terms of executing on a down-to-down basis and just avoiding the critical mistake. Syracuse had a little more edge to them. And I mean, credit Syracuse for hanging in as long as they did. I do think Clemson is probably a lot better than them because they outgained them by a boatload. But, man, that was not the effort you wanted to see from Clemson. Like, they just weren't sharp.
Yeah, I mean, they owe the defense a lot because they did turn the ball over 4 times, and Syracuse didn't do anything.
There was like 16 to 28 points of like swing in this game because it wasn't just that there were turnovers. It was that where was the interception caught? At the 15-yard line. Where was the fumble? At the 5, returned 90 yards the other way for a touchdown. When was the other interception? Oh, yeah, in plus territory. Like all of this was setting up where scoring opportunities were lost. Will Shipley, even, who had a tremendous game, like a $172, something like that. He has a 20-yard run, gets to the red zone, and coughs it up. There was a disease going around Clemson, South Carolina, where if you got to the red zone, you just gave it to the other team. Happy homecoming, Clemson. This is what you did to the visitors. I'm glad you made egg salad and gave them the ball every time you were about to score. 100% Clemson was outplaying Syracuse on a down-to-down basis, and the critical mistakes almost cost them a shot at the college football playoff.
And like as far as Syracuse is concerned, like Sean Tucker had 5 carries for 54 yards. Why the hell is that guy only touching the ball 5 times then? And after the game, Dino said, well, the way Clemson was defending the RPO, they were pretty much forcing Schrader to run, which, yeah, that's probably what you should do in that scenario. But if the defense is doing that, maybe call a play where it's not an option. Maybe just call a play to get the ball in Sean Tucker's hands without a read because he's your best player on offense and you need him. He was having a very good game and you're struggling to move the ball without him. So maybe figure out a way to get the ball to him.
Defensive line for Clemson, absolutely 8 in the second half. It wasn't just the 2 sacks for Tyler Davis, the sack for Brian Brzee, the half a sack for Miles Murphy. KJ Henry got in there with the sack. I think it was 9 tackles for loss, 5 sacks altogether. But it was also back-to-back holding penalties. It was also a false start as you were stuck in that 3rd and long situation. It was exactly the way that I think that Dabo Swinney is going to approach all of these winnable games, where we're just going to run the ball and we're going to let our defense go and win these games. And when the remaining opponents are a Notre Dame team that struggles to score against Power 5 competition, Louisville, Miami, and South Carolina, which, hey, Gamecocks could be a little feisty, but that game is in Death Valley. I think Clemson's going to run the ball and play defense all the way to an unbeaten 12-0 record and an ACC Atlantic Division title. Did anything from Saturday suggest that Clemson could be got by anyone left on their schedule?
A better run defense could force them into more predictable situations throwing the football, and I'd be interested to see if it's DJ or if it's Cade, how they do there. But we did talk in the Locks episode, hey, like Syracuse's run D is kind of secretly poor, and Clemson ran it for 293 on those guys. I mean, take the sacks out, 315, 5.4 carry. And importantly here, only 2 rushes were over 20 yards. So, I mean, they were consistently getting 6, 8, 7, 12, like on the ground when they wanted it. And then they were like, oh, dropsies. Boom. That's ridiculous. But Chip, read that schedule one more time, if you could. The remaining schedule, the remaining schedule for those guys. Who do they have?
They start
Louisville, Miami, and South Carolina.
Yeah, at Notre Dame's the last road game. Louisville,
And
Miami, South Carolina is all at home.
All right. I mean, like in theory, Notre Dame could stop their run game and force them to pass. Notre Dame's run defense.
Notre Dame can't score on them.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Correct. Yeah. South Carolina can't score on them. Pretty sure. No, I mean you could Sharpie these guys if they didn't play like. But this scares me because like they're so lack of sharpness. Doesn't make me want to use the Sharpie on them.
Yeah, if they play horribly, they could lose, but they're gonna have to play horribly. And we saw them play bad today. Like I said, they turned the ball over 4 times. They still won by 6. And I think that when you look at the rest of the schedule, maybe going on the road at South Bend, DJ has a terrible game, turns the ball over a bunch of times against a good defense, and the Irish are able to pull off the upset. Rule it out against any of those teams, but just looking at the matchups and looking at how those teams have played and looking at Clemson's overall talent and the defensive side of the ball, which again bailed them out routinely today, I don't see this team losing. I don't see this team losing until maybe the ACC championship if it faces North Carolina, just because maybe the Tar Heels can outscore it.